Hi there. So today I'm going to be quickly overviewing my Ion short-barreled rifle PDW. Later this would evolve into my Project Salamander. This project is about 4.5, 5 years old. It's been off and on again. Right now I had disassembled it prior to pull some parts and decided that I really don't need to keep it assembled anymore. So today I'm going to disassemble it into parts so I can put those parts in my parts bins and use them in other builds and other projects. So let's quickly go over it. Alright, so this project was built from parts. It started out with a Magpul shotgun handguard, then evolved into this UTG rail. Then it had this UTG rail and a CAS-V rail. It's been kind of an evolving thing. It had a folding stock for a little while. I got this HK416 stock and put it on. But for the most part, it's pretty much always been a couple of key parts. This HK G36 bottom and an Ion inside. And it's always been mechanical. So this is a UTG 1022 Weaver rail adapter that I've had for 10, 12 years, and I've just cut it apart and put it into multiple things. If you look for this rail, it's normally about this long, and these rails extend all the way out to here. So it's been repurposed. It's an Magpul RVG grip, a custom swordfish front end, and a G36 lower. You can see where I've had to put some DevCon because it cracked. This aluminum insert that holds the Helix mag detent down. It just uses the original G36 mag release with a small screw inside. I don't think you're going to be able to see that. That little silver bit is a bit, and then this gray right here is the spacer I had to put in just to kind of help the mag from wobbling. You can see right here this little red nubbin is the SMOV 3 valve that makes it mechanical, and you can see the bottom tip of the Hyper 2, Hyper 2 reg down here. This is just a friction fit, and on top to adapt it to microline is a aluminum thread saver, which is then drilled and tapped with a 1/8 inch NPT to 5/32 microline adapter. Might be the wrong size microline, but that's what comes to mind. It might be 1/8 inch. So that's pretty simple with remote fitting. Up on the back, this replaced the folding stock that I'd had for years, and it is just a HK416 airsoft 3 or 4 position stock, 4 being closed all the way, which has been pretty neat. And it is just screwed into a PVC fitting. So that's one of the downsides to this project, and one of the reasons I'm kind of retiring it, is that certain things weren't really held together great. This was just friction threaded into that PVC fitting, so it staying firm wasn't always guaranteed. I don't know that I have a use for this yet, but it might go on to Project Gila Monster. It might go on to something else. Alright, so that leaves me with this. So I'm going to take the RVG off. Always have a use for a vertical grip somewhere. This one was stifled by the previous owner. I bought it used. It's not bad. And then the swordfish up top is held in with one set screw. And comes out just like that. Neat enough piece that I will keep with the 1022. Then you can see this is a 6.5 inch. Hold a sec. Yep. Hammerhead shark tooth, which I'm going to put back in. It helps me pull the frame. And that is held in place with one screw directly into the Ion body. This goes into the breech screw, and then out it comes. I had already kind of pulled all of the hosing, and then this screw goes into the rear donut, which I've always used those 2 points as mounting points. They work great on projects. My bullpup mount things to them, and it kind of, I think, helps keep everything together so that my core isn't bouncing around inside of the project. There's my QEV and my rear banjo. Another reason I'm disassembling this is that if I have a breech brake or anything, I really kind of have to go to this point to get to stuff. I also just realized how cool this looks torn all the way down like this. Looks like some sort of Star Wars blaster. That's neat. Because in order to pull the can, I have to pull both of those top screws. Pull all of that top off. The stock normally would just come off with the one screw at the rear here and run screw underneath. It then separates, oh, not quite, the lower. But this screw, you can see I filed off the tip because I couldn't go too far originally. That kind of got better, and I probably could, but... And then it separates, nice and clean. The SMAV 3 is in there, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about as far as the detent. Now, that leaves me with this. So there's a screw on this bit that goes into the notch on the lower. That's that. Could be useful for something. This piece of PVC should pull out, and then out comes the ion core. This PVC body is just that. It's piece of PVC with some Bondo. You can see the pink where I had to cut stuff away for the HK stock. And it's the easiest thing I had to work with for a really long time. It's very stable. It's easy to replicate if I need to. It's pretty easy to cut with a Dremel or a hacksaw. It's been the easiest material I've got. I still use it in one of my bullpup builds, but otherwise I'm kind of moving away from this. It's also a little bit large. You can see I had to put gaffer's tape around this in order to fit inside properly. And that is the old ion core with a D very roughly drilled in place, and yeah, all told. So that is kind of Salamander Mk2. Mark 1 was never functional. It was just a mock-up. I might have a photo. And Mark 3 I have a video up for, which you can look at. Mark 3 was never functional. It was just a fitment prototype. And then this is Mark 4. Mark 4 is also not quite functional yet. I need a custom QEV that's getting made, but for the most part, this thing rocks. It's a blast to tinker with and get going right. Modifications from the Mark III, just real quick, are a 2-position safety rather than a freely rotating one, and the reg goes in all the way. The mag release now has a paddle that you hit with your trigger finger, as well as just the standard paddle. And the biggest one is that it uses pins now. So they're not actually captive, but it's a huge improvement over just using set screws. And that makes for a pretty nice toolless disassembly. So stay tuned. I'm hoping to make a video on this guy when I get it running a little better. But until then, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have a good day.